Pokemon Legends Arceus is less than a month away, and a lot of us are left thinking, what is this game, and is this the Pokemon game we've all been waiting for? Well, we're going to dive in and talk about everything we know so far. As always, like and subscribe if you like these videos, and importantly, we have a podcast talking everything video games which comes out every Wednesday wherever you download your podcasts. But to Pokemon, first let's start out with the basics. This is set in the Sinnoh region from Diamond and Pearl. It's a prequel where you're populating the first Pokedex. This Pokemon is the first big take on an open world setting, so a lot of Pokemon fans have been clamouring for this for ages, especially after the wild areas of Pokemon Sword and Shield. They were good, but ultimately a step down from what the fans were really after. There are multiple open world sections, but they're not continuous. I think what's kind of been said, it's more in line with something like Monster Hunter Rise on Switch, so each area is separate, but that could work to its benefit, as they're not vast areas then. There's not vast kind of open areas of nothingness, because often in these open world games that can sometimes be the accusation. The trailers have obviously drawn comparisons with Breath of the Wild. That was by design. I mean, you look at these trailers and every open world game now seems to be aiming to hit that kind of wow moment from the Zelda Breath of the Wild. Graphically, Pokemon has never been that heavy a hitter. In fact, it's nowhere near that. The initial trailer seemed to be a little ropey, especially on frame rate. I think they've done a lot towards that, and obviously the later trailers don't show that, but I do think a lot of fans accept the graphics of Pokemon if the rest of the game lives up to the hype. But don't expect any graphical overhaul in this game compared to Sword and Shield. But what I would say, in this Breath of the Wild type setting with the long draw distance views, the traversal elements, this really could surprise us. One last thing on the basics is that there's only one version of this game. Usually with a mainline Pokemon there's two versions, like Sword and Shield, blue and red. This is focusing all on one, so all of the Pokemon are in one game. This is mostly a single player game, there's probably no real multiplayer. And this is a bit of an unknown if that's something that does appeal to you from Pokemon games. We're probably going to get connectivity to something like Pokemon Home, but I'm not sure at this stage what else we're going to get. So now let's delve a little bit deeper. Crafting is going to be a huge mechanic in this particular game. Think potions, resources, Pokeballs, all that jazz. What that's going to do is make every individual area more interesting to explore, so there's a reason to go around these mini kind of open world settings. Now, talking about reasons to explore, it's unknown at the moment kind of the structure of how you get given individual tasks or quests in the game. I think from what we've seen, this looks like a bit of a Monster Hunter or a Pokemon Snap style in terms of giving you objectives for your individual Pokemon. Now, the Pokedex is not the same as in previous games, so previously you catch a Pokemon, you then know all the info on that Pokemon because that Pokemon is already kind of known. In this game, this is the very first Pokedex, so it seems like you have to observe Pokemon in different environments, you have to capture them multiple times and kind of build up the info on these Pokemon. I think this is going to add quite a bit of longevity to the game, quite a bit of time, and probably in terms of Pokemon fans, it's something a lot of us actually enjoy, and that's filling out the Pokedex. This format does make sense given the success of Monster Hunter Rise on the Nintendo Switch, as well as them trialling some of these ideas with Pokemon Snap recently. But one of the more important things that people have seen in the trailer is the new battle mechanic system. So no longer are you transported when you meet another Pokemon through to a different backdrop and it's kind of that individual battle setting. Now the battles happen in the open world. Now, they seem to still be on a turn-based system, however, they've been developed a lot. There seems to be a mechanic where you can store multiple attacks, rather in like a system similar to KOTOR. But more than that, there's actually stances now. So there are strong and agile stances that you can take for stronger and slower attacks, or quicker and lighter attacks. This all adds to the immersion of the game without through the back and forth of actual battles like we previously had in Sword and Shield. But now, not only that, you personally can be attacked in the open world as a trainer, not just your Pokemon. This is the first time that we've seen this in a Pokemon game. Now, we've all seen it in the TV series of Ash getting hit multiple times by different Pokemon, but now we actually get to experience that firsthand. But don't worry, it seems like we've been given some kind of Dark Souls dodge roll, maybe a few iframes, I don't know, to get out of trouble. This seems like a huge development for Pokemon, because I remember when I played Pokemon Blue back in the day, and the immersion when you were a kid was so strong, but now as we've grown up with these more open world games, it needs to do something different. It needs to match other games in terms of keeping people's immersion and having battles in the open world, being under threat as a trainer, and having more of a continuous flow to the game should really, really help that. There's also a lot about this battle system that we just simply don't know. I mean, the possibilities are quite vast. In terms of it being in the open world, in the active environment, how does that environment impact the actual battles? What about other Pokemon? What about other things going on in the world? We just don't know yet, but we'll soon find out. And lastly, on the battling, there do appear to be alpha Pokemon in the environment, so I think these are kind of your boss battles, or at least your extremely strong Pokemon in your environment that might yield resources, might be good to capture. There's going to be something along the quest line that does dictate that you need to fight these. And hopefully that will tie into the game having a narrative around this, because we haven't really talked about the narrative at all. Nobody knows an awful lot other than you're building the Pokedex. That's going to be really interesting to see how they tie that in. One more thing that people are always interested in, and that's new Pokemon. There will be new Pokemon in this game, and there will definitely be regional variants. Now, we have seen in one of the trailers the Wire-Deer, which is a new Pokemon and an evolution from Stantler. And you can actually ride it in the game, so you've seen the Traversal around the world actually riding that Pokemon. That also moves us on to the fact that there seems to be a load of different ways to travel this world. After Breath of the Wild, every open world game seems to have a flying or gliding mechanic. You're even seeing it in the New Horizon game. Not only that, you can ride your Pokemon in the water as well across the land. This game seems to be giving Dokkaev a run for its money in terms of how many ways you can traverse the world. So should you be excited? Damn right you should be excited. This is a new Pokemon game. But let's temper our expectations slightly. This isn't going to be an open world, but each individual area will be open. It's probably going to be more something akin to Monster Hunter, and it's going to be more of a hybrid between what we previously had and what we really, really want. But this could be such a big opportunity for Pokemon to test the waters in terms of what a true open world Pokemon game would be, and that is something that we can all get excited about. So that's most of what we know about the new Pokemon Legends Arceus game. If you've liked this video, please like and subscribe. It does us the world of good, and we'll make more of this type of content. We have a podcast that comes out every single Wednesday wherever you download your podcasts, Grumpy Gamers. And until then, it's GG from me.